This is Unmuted with my girls, Z and Ross the Boss. Talk about it, ladies.
Hello, 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 unmuted family. Welcome to this episode, to this day. We are so glad that you took the time out of your busy day to listen to your girls, Z and Ross the Boss, on Unmuted. Hey. So, we're going to go ahead and get this episode started, right? And Z always has a very eloquent opening, and then I'm always here for the shenanigans so that they can shenan again.
She always
So
does the little unmuted or,
yeah,
the
muted,
voiceover.
take a little serious. I like to play with accents a little bit. I
You
don't know
know,
where they come from.
my
I just
favorite has
experienced
to
them.
be the Pepe Le Pew that you did last time. I don't know how you did it. Unmuted. Or I don't know. I can't do it.
I don't remember. I just sort of let it lead me. I don't, it's a gift. I don't own it. But welcome, friends. Thank you for tapping in again and checking in with us in what is going to be an amazing episode and a celebration. So we will hold off on what the topic is for right now. But if you are following us on the socials, you already know. So, and if you are just tapping in, you're just like, I had no clue. Well, then shame on you, baby. Follow us, like and share. Okay. Okay. Let's touch and agree. So, as we do with every episode of Unmuted with Z and Ross the Boss, we're going to do a check in. So, for my girl Z, how's your heart?
My heart is doing pretty good, actually. I think I'm very excited. I know I said that last episode, but I stay excited, y'all, for all the goodness that's coming. My youngest, well, not my youngest. Let me rephrase that. My middle now, Desiree, she is going to be graduating middle school. So again, when I talk about celebrating the milestones, I was looking at her grades, and I was like, this girl better pass, because I already had a come to Jesus moment with her. But sure enough, my girl pulled through. My cancer pulled through, y'all.
Of
She
course she
puts
did. Cancer game. We don't let nobody down.
with her is like a roller coaster. With her is like a roller coaster of emotions. So I'm very proud of her and just excited to see her go into the next step of high school. So I'm just overall grateful because, and I know I say it a lot, but it's because it's true. I know there's a lot of hard moments on everybody. And then so I think that trying to remember the good and like the positive, and being grateful for it, right? So I know that's something that I talk to my therapist. Boy, the way that I talk about my therapist, she, we'll see in my next therapy session if she's listening. She said she was gonna tune in. So shout out to her, because she always puts me there. She's like basically the okay, but did you die? But like in other terms. She doesn't say it like that.
But did you die though?
Yeah,
Mhm.
she's like, okay, but did you? And I was like, no, I guess not.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm just full of gratitude. I've had a lot of people in my life, friends, family, even my mom has tuned in, and then so that makes me another level of grateful. And I get a little bit like I start blushing because now she's like sharing our unmuted stuff on socials, and like she puts all these comments on our stuff, and I'm just like, okay, she's actually listening. She's not a big podcast
Mhm.
person, so I want to say this is probably her first podcast. So I don't know, it's like a different feeling. Like I get all giddy because I'm like, okay, my mom, like I want to make my mom proud still at my age.
Yeah. Shout out to Mama. Hey, Mama.
Yes, shout out to her. And then so what about you, my friend? How's your heart? How's everything going in that little heart of, well, not little, that big heart of yours?
Who told you about my heart murmur? I was born with it. Leave me alone.
I didn't
Just
know that. Are you kidding?
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, no, that's a real thing.
I was saying big because you have so much love to give.
Oh, that's sweet.
You
Yeah,
see,
she just it is.
that
It's a
big
big
heart.
heart, but it's just offbeat. Yeah. So, Yeah, it's a big heart. It's just offbeat. But guess what's not offbeat? These dance moves, they're not. She is always on beat, and she gonna give you a cute 1-2 step. You're welcome. Period. Point and the blank. Hello. But but in full transparency, the time between Mother's Day and Memorial Day, so entering May, is a little difficult for me. It's the anniversary of my mom's passing. So I definitely feel a shift. In that, so the welcoming of a new season, especially for the spring, just is a reminder of that. It's not a sadness, but it's one of those things where it is a just a recognition of like uh while the joy is still there, it's not as uh bright and shiny sometimes as it is in other parts of the year. So I think that right now it's just I'm aware that it's there and I know why. So yeah.
I love that. I love that. And we're always gonna send shout outs and love to your mom up in heaven, you know.
Absolutely.
She's always there. We just
Absolutely.
don't see her, but she sees us. She sees all the foolishness that her daughter be doing down here. I'm just kidding.
Absolutely. That is true. And sometimes when when the shenanigans are shenanigans, I have to say, Mama, just close your eyes, girl. Just close your eyes. It's okay.
Look
Just turn
away.
away.
Look
Just,
away.
just look away. Don't pay attention. But
Yeah,
yes, so 100% that's a thing. So with that, it was very important to both Z and I that we had a very intentional episode this week in celebration of Mother's Day. It is right around the corner, and we definitely have some amazing women to celebrate. Being a mom or being a parent, let's just say that being a parent
Mhm.
is the hardest job you will ever have in your life. To be responsible for the life from start to finish of a person
Mm.
is the hardest job I think that could ever exist. And in those moments where we get to celebrate the people who brought us into the world, or the people who have brought some of the most amazing people that we love into the world, it's important to sit in those moments and just be in gratitude and say thank you. So that's 100% what this episode is about. So again, if you are out on socials, one of the things we want to call out is, while we're going to speak to the experiences of the moms in our lives who we want to celebrate, we encourage you to do the same thing. We want you to um, shout out those important moms in your life, even if it wasn't like your mom. It's an auntie, it's a best friend, it's just somebody who supported and loved. Because that's all I think being a mom is. It's not about giving birth to a person physically, but like giving birth to their spirit or pouring into them. That is what a mom is to me. So it's not literally somebody who gave birth to you, but somebody who poured into you, somebody who nurtured you, somebody who was there in those moments where you had a moment where you were struggling with a thing, and they just took the time to connect with you in a way that uplifted you and helped you be the person that you are. So
I love that. 100%. I couldn't have said it better. I definitely also want to shout out all of those women or parents, as my friend said, that want more than anything to be parents, and it just hasn't happened yet. Your time will come. Keep trying, keep praying on it. There's just so many ways to be a parent, and that's important to point out. Giving birth, yes, is this bond that sometimes you automatically have it, sometimes it gets there eventually. We all have our different experiences. I, for one, I feel a special place in my heart for people that adopt, because there's a lot of kids out there that need the love. And then, so if you are adopted or are going through the process, my heart to you, because I always see adopted children as you are handpicked. Like, when you give birth to your child, you're gonna get what you're gonna get. So you're gonna love it, right, regardless. But when you adopt, it's like you handpick them, and then sometimes they handpick you, right, because you gravitate towards them and all of that. So to all the parents, like you said, in whichever form, we want to celebrate you, we want to honor you, and we're sending you all the love, for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, family, one of the things that while in therapy, um, and you see, we keep circling back on therapy because it's important, right?
They're not paying us for this.
Absolutely not. And sometimes my therapist is like, if you say my name one more time, and in social situations, Ross, I'm gonna have to have a conversation with you. But and I know it's all in joking and in love, but one of the things that she had me do as an exercise, and I don't know if I ever shared it with you. My mom passed, it'll be 20 years this month. And, I always call out the fact that, she is my North Star. Um, in the get to know me section, I talked about like, why that is a thing. And, and the fact that I've always wanted to make her proud, of me. I wanted to be the reason that I never wanted to be the reason why people said that a single parent can't raise kids. So I always wanted to make her proud. One of the things that I realized via therapy was that after she passed, I still was that little girl trying to prove something to her mother. And one of the things that my therapist called out was, Shamil, you're never going to get the, like, you're never going to get like the recognition that you're looking for from her because she's not physically here anymore. Right. And I know for all my spiritual folks, and I really do feel that of like there's other ways that, I feel like I do get that confirmation that she's still here with me and she still sees. So I definitely feel that. But I think it feels different when you get to hear it directly. Her being gone for almost 20 years now, I don't remember what her voice sounds like. You know, so to be able to have one more moment where, I get to hear her say that she's proud of something that I've done. And I do get that in the people who love me, who knew her, who, passed that message of like, your mama will be so proud, your mama will be proud. And I know that. But it's just different to be able to hear from that person. Right. So, um, it was one of those things that, um, coming up on the 20 years, I knew that this year was going to be different, and I felt
Yeah.
it in my body that it was going to be different. Um, so one of the things that my therapist had me do was like write a letter to her.
Mm.
Get those feelings out of like your body so that they exist somewhere else other than your head. So one of the things that I did was that as I sat, I went to a water source. Come on, Cancers. Went to a water source and sat by the water and just wrote out the things that I wish that she could hear me say to her. You know,
Mm.
and so when we were talking about this episode, that was one of the things that I told Z that I wanted to bring into this space. So whether your mom or the mother figure in your life is still here with us or gone on to whatever the next phase is in their journey, um, I want us to. I want to encourage us to take those moments of gratitude, um, or even if there are things that you need to release, right? And write them to them. Uh, the old school letters have sort of gone away, and people are like they don't want to do that anymore. But it's something cathartic about being able to write it down, and either giving it to them or just having it so that it lives somewhere that isn't just in your head space. So, one of the things that we're going to do is I'm going to share my letter to my mom on our social. As a kickoff of that, as a starter, and I want to encourage anyone who feels so led to do the same. in hopes that wherever your mom is or wherever your mom figure is, that she receives that message. So, um, yeah.
Wow,
So I'll pass it to you, Z.
that was beautiful, friend. Um, let me let me get my thoughts together, because after that I'm just like all over the place. That was really beautiful, and I often don't want to think about that, when that time comes. So um definitely that's a hard one. So I'm always sending you a hug, and I know that you'll a mama, that can never be replaced. Truly I believe it. That mother love, right? So I 1,000% feel you on that. So I think that my inspiration to write the letter to my mom, so I remember, as a mother myself, I when your kids are little, they write you all these poems at school, or they do the little hearts with their hands painted on a paper, and that's your Mother's Day gift. And it's just those memories. Now, they give you gifts. My kids still write me cards. That's one thing, that they'll give me a gift basket and they will always write me a card, and they'll tell me how they feel and all these things. And then so I love that about them, and I try to do the same to my mom. And then so because the thing about us is that growing up, we weren't like so vocal about feelings. It was like I knew my mom loved me, and she knows that I love her, but we're not gonna be like the lovey dovey like every day, like, oh my god, like, mom, thank you for this. Like, it's not like it was never really like that. It was just, we chugged along, we knew we loved each other, and we kept going. And then so when we got more into the teenager adult side of things, and I had my daughters, my mom started pouring into my daughters, and she would tell them like, I love you and all these things. And I was like, well, how did all of a sudden you become so lovey-dovey, right? But that also started a new, I don't want to say tradition, but like a new thing, that every time we see each other, we hug each other. We say, I love you. When we hang up the phone, we say, I love you. And we didn't used to be like that. But now and so at first it was kind of weird. I'm like, I mean, I love my mom, and I know she loves me, but like to be saying it all the time. And then with time, I was like, the important part is to say it all the time, because you never know when is the last time, right? So, I 100% believe in letter writing and all the things. And then so I definitely encourage you, if you have your mom still alive, make sure that you incorporate that a little bit more, because I think sometimes we do take mothers for granted because we know that they're going to be there unconditionally. And then so brings me to a little story that I had, as a parent, and I'm in therapy. I say that a lot because I am, and it really has helped me navigate certain topics, because your kids start growing and you start bumping heads, and then they start not being so lovey-dovey and on your lap because they're getting older, right? And then so I remember that I told my kids, I was like, well, I've been doing it as a single mom with y'all. I want to make sure you go to therapy, get your feelings out there. I don't want to wait till you're an adult. And then I was noticing my cancer, that cancer of mine. She was getting a lot of feelings. She would be angry. She would be sad. And I was like, oh my God, what am I doing wrong? I'm giving her love. I'm doing all these things. Like, I'm giving her everything she needs and more. What am I doing wrong? So when we started therapy, for them to do check-ins, to make sure that they're doing good, they're going through transition. So I want to make sure that my kids are good physically and mentally. And so we started going to therapy, and I had a session with her therapist and me, and I was like, I just don't understand. Sometimes she just blows up on me, and then I don't want to slap her because, like, like, I want to respect her feelings, but like, dang, I'm human, and like, what am I messing up in life? And then she goes, can I tell you something? She's like, all your feelings are valid, but she's like, the reason that she is the way she is with you and the way that she expresses every emotion is because she knows that you're her safe space, that no matter what, you will love her unconditionally. So she knows that there's not none of the different attitudes that she has or the different roller coaster of emotions that she's going through is going to break that bond because you're always going to be there. Worry if she doesn't say nothing to you, then worry, because it's like, who is she telling everything to? And it just hit me, and I'm like, that makes sense, because she knows that no matter what, I might want to slap her sometimes, but like, she knows that her mom will always be there for her, right? And then so that really resonated with me, and I started to think about my mother and the things that I put her through unintentionally. And then so I'm like, everything is making sense. So it's like a full circle moment. And then so I know that my mother, um, you know, me and my brothers had this conversation one time, and we were just having a few drinks and just talking random stuff. And then we looked at each other, and I don't know how we got to the topic. And it was like, our mom, no matter what, she really tried. We were like, she really tried. She tried her best that she could with what she had, and she's still trying to develop herself and be that person for us to this day. So I actually wrote a letter from my mom in English and Spanish, and since she actually does listen to the podcast now, we have a fan in my mom. I'm gonna read it out loud in honor to her, just because I want to celebrate it loudly of all the things that I feel about her, that I don't say every day, but I hope she knows it's still there. So that's I hope I can keep it together through the whole letter, but I think it's very important to our point that we celebrate our mothers, however that may seem, whether they're here, whether they're in heaven. Um, it's really important that we take that time.
Absolutely. So, I mean, were you going to read it on the podcast, or are you just going to read it to your mom?
I'm gonna read it in the podcast and to my mom,
Ooh,
but I'm
go ahead.
so I'm gonna handwrite it, right? And then so
Mhm.
since the podcast is gonna launch on this episode, I'm sorry, the same day that we're having our Mother's Day get together. So obviously she's not gonna hear it. So then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna, in her gift, I'm gonna handwrite the letter, put it in there, have her read it, but then have her be surprised and hear it.
Okay. So, you ready?
That's the goal. Unless
Okay.
she ignores
Okay.
me and goes somewhere to hear the podcast, and that. There goes
The
that
best, the
intention.
best laid plans. The best laid plans, friend. Best laid plans.
Oh man. Okay. And also, hey, if one of you gets an inspiration out there, this recording will be on Friday, May 8th, and Mother's Day is on Sunday. So if I help you with some inspiration, you're welcome. All right. So I'll read it in English, and then I'll read it in Spanish. So just bear with me, because like I want her to make sure she understands everything. And sometimes she's like, "Can you translate?" So I'm just gonna go ahead and do it here. So I say, okay, serious. Dear mom, I've been thinking a lot about everything you've done for me, and I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for loving me the way you do. You became a mom so young, and I know that meant you had to grow up faster than you should have. You carried responsibilities that most people don't understand, and you did it while still trying to figure life out for yourself. I see that now in a way that I couldn't before. I see the strength it took, the sacrifices you made, and the love that never wavered. You worked hard, really hard, to make sure I had what I needed, even when things weren't easy. Even when you were doing it all on your own, you never gave up. You never turned your back on me, no matter what we faced. I didn't have a dad, but I had a mother that never gave up and wanted me since day one. That kind of love is something I will never take for granted. I'm sorry for the times you had to carry so much alone. I'm sorry that life made you grow up so fast. But I also want you to know how much I admire you for it. You didn't just survive, you showed me what strength, resilience, and unconditional love looks like. Because of you, I am the woman I am today. Because of you, I am strong. You taught me how to keep going, how to stand tall, and how to love deeply. Everything I am carries a piece of you in it. You are the queen of our family, and I hope you never forget that. You are loved, you are appreciated, and you are honored more than words can fully express. I love you so much, Mom. Thank you for everything, for before, for now, and always. And that's that's a wrap. Before I'm over here like crying my eyes out.
It was beautiful, friend. It was beautiful.
And then
Look,
so
look.
bro, I was getting through it, and then I was like, dang, it's all over. It's all over. But I meant every word. So then I did write it. I translated it in Spanish. And then so I'll share it just for any Spanish speakers out there. Here we go. Hopefully my mascara is not totally gone by the end of this episode. Um, Querida mamá, he estado pensando mucho en todo lo que has hecho por mí y solo quiero decirte gracias. De verdad, desde lo más profundo de mi corazón, gracias. Te convertiste en mamá siendo muy joven y sé que eso significó que tuviste que crecer más rápido de lo que debías. Cargaste con responsabilidades que muchas personas no entienden y lo hiciste mientras también tratabas de descubrir tu propio camino. Ahora lo veo de una manera que antes no podía. Veo la fortaleza que tuviste, los sacrificios que hiciste y el amor que nunca cambió. Trabajaste muy duro, muy demasiado duro, para asegurarte de que yo tuviera lo que necesitaba, incluso cuando las cosas no eran fáciles, incluso cuando lo hacías todo sola, nunca te rendiste. Nunca me diste la espalda sin importar los obstáculos que enfrentamos. Yo no tuve padre, pero tuve mucha madre y tengo mucha madre que nunca se rinde y nunca me dio la espalda. Este tipo de amor es algo que nunca daré por sentado. Siento mucho las veces en que tuviste que cargar con tanto tú sola. Siento que la vida te haya hecho crecer tan rápido, pero también quiero que sepas cuánto te admiro por todo eso. No solo saliste adelante, me enseñaste lo que es la fortaleza, la resiliencia y el amor incondicional. Gracias a ti soy la mujer que soy. Gracias a ti soy fuerte. Me enseñaste a seguir adelante, a mantenerme firme y a amar profundamente. Todo lo que soy lleva una parte de ti. Eres la reina de nuestra familia y espero que nunca lo olvides. Te amo, te apreciamos y eres honrada más de lo que tú puedes saber. Te amo muchísimo, mamá. Gracias por todo, antes, ahora y por siempre. So that I just wanted to, it's really important that I read it in Spanish out loud because I want her to be honored in both languages, and she prefers Spanish, so I just had to make sure that I did her honor that she deserves. So thank you for bearing with me, and thank you for letting me celebrate my mother out loud proudly, because again, I am planning to do so intimately, but I also want to make sure that I say it out loud because I'm a mom, and when my daughter graduated and she gave a speech at her graduation dinner, I was a mess, y'all. But it just I knew she had told me all these things before, but just the acknowledgement of being told out loud in front of everybody, it just hit a little bit different. So I wanted to do this as a gift to my mother. So
But I'm sure that there is a smile on her face. Um, because I think that sometimes what is lost on folks is there's no perfect parent. There's no book that shows you how to do it. You are doing the best you can from where you can. And the best part is just showing up and knowing that, like, you have somebody to fall back on, right? So shout out to your mom. I know that we have had many a conversation where shout out what your mom means to you and how she is the pillar in your family. So I definitely hope your message hits her heart and that she receives it in the way um, that it lifts her spirits. And in those moments where she might be feeling a little heavy, she remembers the amazing humans that she brought into the world with you and your brothers.
Thank you. Thank you, friend.
I think that to tag on to that, um, it's not an easy thing, right? And I know that some of the topics that we have talked about or will talk about, may are not always the fun ones, right? But are the needed ones. Um, so, in that same vein, I don't have a beautifully written letter similar to you, but for those people who, after my mom transitioned, showed up in my life, just a heartfelt thank you because I was 24 when my mom passed, and uh, that didn't mean that I didn't need a mom anymore. If anything, I needed one even more. And there were people who, prior to my mom passing, that she said, "Hey, those people, these are the people who will." Be able to answer those questions for you when I'm no longer here. So, just a little backstory. Um, for the teachers and the educators who are listening to us right now, could we touch and agree to stop one thing? For the little babies that are like me, okay? Um, the fire safety and like stop, drop, and roll, all of those things are very, very necessary. But for a little person like me, you can't tell me that it's my responsibility to like get everybody in my family out the house if it catches on fire. That's a lot of. I sleep with my glasses on still because I said I need all of the precious time to get everybody out of the house, right? It was traumatic, like, hey, even with the stop smoking campaign, it was like, hey, I am 7. You're telling me that, like, hey, smoking is bad, to stop people in your house from smoking. I'm 7.
When
You
are they
do
gonna listen to us?
that. Listen to me. I'm hiding her cigarettes and then I'm hiding the belt because she gonna whip my butt. But uh
100% though. It's because it's
100%,
true.
but it's the truth. It's the truth. But one of the things that I did when I was a little person is that I used to get so worried, and that led to me being an anxious adult because I became an anxious child because of some of those things. And I would ask my mom when I was a little girl, like, "So, mama, so listen, if this happens, what you want me to do?" And she would just kind of look at me because it'd be weird questions too, like, "Okay, so you just bought a car. Suppose something happens. What you want me to do?" And
Mm.
she'd be like, what is going on in your head? So the questions will be very adult. And she was just like, if you don't, you're a kid. Why do you worry about those things? But that was a thing. So every year, I would come to her with questions like that of like, I need to tell you. So the last time that we had that conversation, I was 24. And it was a few months before she had her stroke and passed. And I said, Mama, okay, so listen, I got all these questions. Because at that point, my baby brother was still a minor. And I was like, okay, so if this happens, like, what do I need to know? And I'm asking her all these questions. And she said, do you know that you've been asking me those questions since you was a kid? And I said, yes, ma'am. And she said, why? And I said, I don't know, because I need to know because like one day you won't be here for me to ask. So I need to ask all the questions now because I won't be able to ask you later. And she said, mm. And she knew her child. So she said, this is what I'll tell you. If I'm not here anymore, there are certain people that you can go to who will answer it just like I would answer it. So if you ever, and she was like, but you have people that you can go to. But the thing I'll tell you is, you've always been you.
Mm.
So you have never made a misstep. I've always been proud of the things that you've done. So, like, you already know what I would do. So just do that because you've always done it your whole life. But if you ever have a question, these are the people that, you can go to. So, my best friend, Alonzo, his mom, Doris, who is I like to tell people that like that's my daddy because she has always been in my life since I was 10 years old. She has been that that other voice because as you were talking about Desiree and how like sometimes as a mom you all didn't see eye to eye. So for me, Doris was that person that when me and my mom didn't see eye to eye, I would talk to her, right? So my mom was like, you know, you can go to Doris and she'll tell you exactly what I would say. And
Mm.
I'm like, yes, ma'am. And 20 years later, that has been the thing. But she's been there since I was 10 years old, answering the questions and pouring into me. And that has not changed in the 20 years that my mom has gone. She is still the person I go to if I have a question or if I'm worried about something. And she always talks me through it. Um, my oldest aunt, and God rest her soul, Miss Christine Reed, baby sis, as we called her. She, I remember I used to tell my mom because I didn't know if my aunt liked us or not. I didn't know if she liked
She's like
kids. I didn't
trusting
know.
you.
I don't know if she liked kids. I used to tell my mom like she don't like us, and she said, "Why do you say that? She loves y'all." And I was like, "That's it." But that mom, I don't. I'm not so sure, right? Um, But, you know, from the time that my mom went into the hospital until, you know, she transitioned, um, my bond with my oldest aunt grew in that experience. And one of the things that she said was, Shamel, your mom was always there, you know, for me. So in turn, I'm gonna always be there for y'all. And up until the day that she passed a few years ago, that was 100% the truth. That lock, stock, and barrel by my side and everything. And I was so thankful for that connection and that relationship that built. It sucked that it built off of, you know, the transition, but I don't think that anything happens by accident, right? Um, that relationship happened at the time it was supposed to. So I'm really, really thankful for that bond that I was able to forge with my oldest aunt. One of the most beautiful experiences of my life, honestly, was going from an experience where I was uncertain about how somebody felt about me to knowing that 100% she loved me down. You know, and she loved us down, and she showed up and she gave the very best of everything that she had for me and my brothers after my mom transitioned. So I will always thank her for being never a replacement for your mama, but just one of those people who supplemented, you know, that once my mom transitioned. And then I have another aunt, Cecilia. We call her Cookie, and she was, you know, the third woman that my mom was like, if you ever have a question, she knows. That was my mom's best friend. My mom, as I shared with y'all, had six sisters, and their bond was one that was unmatched. I had never seen two people talk the way that they talked to each other, so you were very confused about whether they loved each other or not sometimes. But 100% it was a thing that they definitely did. They traveled together. You know, it was
That's
always,
awesome.
girl, come on, shut up. And I'm like, why do y'all talk to each other like that? And they just like, you know, that was, you know, just their relationship, and they understood it. It wasn't for everybody else to understand, but definitely were each other's best friends. So my mom was like, if there's ever a question, you know that she is going to be there 100%. And if you ever need anything, that she's going to be there. And that has 100% been the truth. Even with the raising of my baby brother, a lot of the things that my mom, you know, would have done financially or, you know, been able to do as far as support and showing him, you know, other alternatives to what his life could have been, she really showed up and showed out in that. So for those three women in particular, um, I always want to make sure that I say thank you for being the women that she said you would be.
It's
You know,
amazing.
always being the ones that I could tap into. So there wasn't a question for me, like once my mom left, like whether I was going to be okay or have somebody to have a conversation with, because she had already told me, you know, who to tap into. So that was amazing. And then I think the one thing that moms do that is really, really fantastic, even if they don't know they do it, they surround you with people. Because I'm going to tell you this one thing. I'm going to say this, and I mean this with my chest. And we can talk about it in the chat if you want to, or in the streets if you see me. I have never seen a mother hang out with another mother that she don't respect.
Mm.
ever. If a mama don't respect another mother's motherhood, she's not gonna be around her. Period. And so I think that sometimes mothers don't realize that they create this circle of support around their young people. So I think that for that particular generation, they grew up under that communal. Like the neighborhood took care of the kids, right? So whoever was in the neighborhood could chin check you, or like, hey, I'm gonna get you, and then your mama gonna get you when you get home because I'm gonna tell her that you did a thing. So like that
Dang.
it takes a village to raise, a young person. So I'm just thankful that my mom surrounded me with amazing people who were her coworkers that became family, friends who just tapped in. She did a fantastic job of creating a village. Because I think, I honestly believe that she knew that she uh,
She had a feeling.
wouldn't she wouldn't be long on this earth.
Mm.
So I think that she set a foundation and a structure in place to make sure that the little people that she loved were taken care of, and I'm definitely 100% thankful for that. But I just wanted to take a moment to just say thank you to the three women in particular that she called out, and for the ones that maybe she didn't tap, but who showed up anyway because you didn't have to. So just a heartfelt thank you.
I love that. That's very important because, to your point, it does take a village, and grandparents can be that village, aunties, friends, and it's very interesting. Your mother definitely was a woman with the plan, because, and then you so early on, like, wanting to have that conversation. That's very interesting because to this day, I don't want to have that conversation, and my mom wants to have that conversation with me. Like, the day that I'm no longer here, I want you to, you know, make sure that you and your brothers are united, make sure that, and I'm just like, but I don't want to talk about that. But you're giving me a different perspective that sometimes things need to be said, things need to be talked about. And I think nobody's ever going to be fully ready for that moment. But to not be afraid to have those conversations as well, like with your kids, with your parents, and all of those things, because you never know. Tomorrow is not promised.
Absolutely. And then I think one thing that I will add to this, and I really do hope that this hits everyone's heart. Um, I have 7 pictures of my mom because she didn't like taking them. And so those pictures over 20 years, you can imagine they have been in heavy rotation because there's not a lot of them that exist. I think we had one, maybe 2 family pictures, in there. Um, take the pictures, make the video. I see a lot of women who are just like, oh, my hair ain't done. This ain't that. Listen, you got to give them something to hold on to when you're not here anymore. That's just the truth. So, like, a lot of times people give me all kinds of shit about, like, well, Shamel, you going to take a selfie, you going to do this. Yes, because for the little people in my life, when I'm not here anymore and they're looking for a moment to capture, because we will forget far more than we remember about life, right? So, to have, like, I have 8,000 pictures in my phone right now. 8,000. At least 6,000 of them of me.
And counting.
And counting, because she don't plan on going nowhere yet. But for those little people that are in my life, my youngest nephew is 14. When he gets old enough and he has his kids, I want him to be able to be like, let me tell you about my auntie and the stuff that she did, or like she lived a full life, and no second guessing. Like you have memories, so videos. One of the things when it comes to my nieces and nephew, my niece and my nephews, or even any little people in my life, godchildren or whatever, the one thing that I will always do is like pull my camera out and we're gonna take a picture. We're gonna take it. We're gonna capture this moment. So it's gotten to the point that the kids know, like when we go anywhere, they're just like, "Could you take our picture real quick?" Because they know.
Be like,
know.
before I don't look this way.
They're like, "Oh yeah, ma'am." So we go to a restaurant. They're like, "Ma'am, can you take our picture real quick?" So like sometimes before I've sat down, they have already found somebody to take the picture, right? So I think that those moments are truly important, so that you have something to reflect back on. Because those things, I shared a little earlier, like I don't remember what my mom sounds like.
Yeah. Or leave the voicemail.
And
Leave the voicemail.
yeah,
The other day,
100%. Leave the voicemail.
transparently, my friend over here didn't answer me, and I was like getting worried because it had been a few hours since I last heard from her. So, I was a concerned friend. So I called her, and to my surprise, because it doesn't happen often, I was sent to a voicemail. And so I could have hung up in that moment, but I didn't. I left my friend a little voice note, just checking in on her, basically telling her that it was a, what did I call it? I be calling things, I be saying all types of things. I said this is a, what is that one thing you do whenever you're like worried about a person? Welfare
I come to
check.
Jesus.
A
Oh
welfare
yeah, yeah.
check.
Oh yeah.
And then so I told
Uh-huh.
her it was along the lines of like, "Hey friend, it's me. I was just checking in on you. Hopefully you're okay." And but there was intention behind it because I was like, okay, in the very very future, because Z plans to be here for a long time. Or if I'm ever away or whatever, like, and my friend needs to hear my voice or something, well, that's her message. I would hope that she had that and she knew that even though I couldn't talk to her, that I'm always checking on her, right? So sometimes leave the voicemail, like leave it, and then that could also be like, to your point, pictures are very important, but also the videos, to not forget the voices and all of the moments and the memories. So it is truly important. So thank you for sharing that, friend, because I don't know if I have like 6,000 pictures of me, but cutting it close.
Yeah, listen, there's nothing wrong with it. And, it's not for everybody else to understand. So,
Yeah.
over 20 years, you can imagine the number of people. I have pictures of people taking pictures of me taking pictures of myself. And it's just like, oh, Shamel's so vain. And I'm like, it's not what it is. But it's also not for you to understand.
Yeah.
So it is, I think that, I have unfortunately in the 20 years since my mom passed, like lost, several people. And like you said, leaving the voicemail, my very best friend, Tammy, just, I had a surprise. I forgot that I had saved the last couple voice messages that she had left me. So as I was cleaning out some files, I was like, what is this audio? And I clicked on it and I was like, oh, there go my friend. And I was blessed to be able to share that with her parents when I talked to them this past weekend of just like, I got a surprise. And somewhere in my little girl heart, that's just, it feels like that's her reminder to let me know that she's not far and that she sees all the things, that I'm doing. So, and she would always start her messages with, hey, baby. And then always end it with, I love you. And, or, a couple of the messages said that, if ever somebody tells you that you're too much, they're a damn liar.
I love that.
And that's somebody you want. And I'm just like, sometimes your heart just needs to hear that. So definitely leave the voicemail, take the pictures, get in the videos, like all of those things. Like, even for your friends, those things matter. So
Yeah.
I am
100%.
thankful. Um, but definitely don't want this to be a you know mournful one, because let me tell you this, a lot of times people be like, girl, you are comedy, and some, when I start cutting up, and I'm like, listen, my mama was the OG.
Mm.
One of the things that people said at her service was, what was happening with you and your brothers, because y'all were having the best time in the front. And I said, we were cracking up laughing at a lot of different things, during her funeral, because we could imagine what she was saying. And they was
Oh,
like, y'all had the best time, because we looked over and y'all were weak. And I was like, if you only understood the level of inappropriate my mama was.
right. Right.
So like, I had to come from somewhere. My level is very basic in comparison to that lady. And there's often times where something happen and I just crack up laughing like, man, my mama was a fool. And uh, I am I am a low grade off brand version of her level
Mm.
of comedy, and I'm thankful for those memories because they definitely make me smile a lot. Um, and if you would just grant me an opportunity to share a story, which is freaking hilarious,
Of course.
I turned of age. So me and Alonzo were of age, and my mama had gotten off work, and she said, "Hey, some of the girls from work are gonna go out to this bar. You want to come?" And I was like, I want to go with your coworkers. And she was like, "I'll buy drinks. Say less." Put my shoes on.
5 minutes. 5 minutes.
Hey, put my shoes on. And she was like, well, see if Lonzo wants to go. I was like, okay, cool. So I'm like, hey, friend, mama said she go, you want to go? She paying for drinks. He was like, oh yeah, come get me. So he's like, no, I'm on my way. So he comes over to the house. We get in the car. We go there to, we go to the bar, and it was like a country music situation. I didn't care because I'll dance to anything, especially if you give me, a couple cocktails real cute. So I am getting my drink on, and my mom was like, "Just get what you want." Now she shouldn't have said that.
Right. That
She
is
shouldn't have
very
said it. She
open. That's very
was.
open.
She said just, and I don't know that she knew that her child was a lush at that point. I don't know that she knew that. So I'm like, okay, so me and Lonzo are ordering drinks, not thinking about it, and we I get up and start dancing, and then it was very odd because there was like two of her coworkers that were flirting with me. It was very uncomfortable, and mom was like, "What are you over here doing?" And I was like, "Nothing. I'm just over here being myself. Like I don't know why these ladies are like, oh man." She's like, "You got to be doing something. Like don't embarrass me in front of my friends." And I was like, "I am not doing anything, ma'am. I'm just attractive. Okay,
Oh,
relax, right?" So,
she's like, I got it
so
like that. I'm the
um,
magnet.
Yes. So then, now that my mama has told me to get off the dance floor because of my killer dance moves,
Mhm.
I go and sit down, and there's nothing else for me to do but eat and drink stuff. So we order more drinks. So, needless to say, by the end of the night, when she looked at the bill, she cussed us out. I think she should have been paying closer, attention to her tab, but whatever, sis. And she got in the car and she is cussing us out. You hear me? And I'm three sheets in the wind. So I don't even know what you're saying. So like, okay, haha, what you gonna do now? It's already drank. So we get to the house. Z, I could not get out of the car.
Oof. That means you had a
My
really
mom
good
was
time.
I did. She was so very disgusted with me. Then she just shut the door and got out of the car.
Oh
And she
my
just
god.
looked back at me. She was like, "You make me so sick." And then I said, "Are you not going to help me?" And she said, "No, get your drunk ass in the house." So I was like, "Oh, man." And we had these long stairs in the front. And I was like, "Oh, this is a struggle." So the earth was not stable beneath me. So I finally get in the house and I make it to my bedroom, and I was going through a girly phase. I don't know what I was cosplaying a femme, and okay. And I
Mm.
had on like these high boots that zipped on the calf. Zippers and drunk people don't work.
Oh
So I'm like
gosh.
laying on the bed and I'm trying to unzip. It is a show. And I just see her in the doorway and she was like, "You just make me sick with your drunk ass." And she was like, "I'm so disgusted." And I just giggled because, again, that's what you do when you're drunk. And
Right.
I think back on that moment and it makes me crack up every time because I was like, while she was like, herself of again cussing me out and let me know that she was disgusted in me. She didn't mean it. It
Right,
was just
right.
one of those things where she was just like, "Is this what you do when you go out?" Yes. I am in my 20s. What was you doing in your 20s? The same
Right.
thing, sis. Where do you think I got this from? But I think about memories like that and it makes me giggle of like, whatever our relationship have grown into, as I got through my late 20s into my 30s and now in my 40s. Would she still be having those moments? Not that I, put on the same way that I did when I was 20, but it would have been interesting to see how our
Relationship.
relationship would have evolved. Yeah. So for anybody who is listening, I would love to hear, in the chat outside of your letters that you're going to share is like, how did your relationship with your mom like evolve like as you've gotten older? Like did it become one of those things where it's like, hey, my mom's my best friend? As people age, they say, they then become the child. So now are you out here having to regulate your mama because she out here doing too much? Uh, she outside the streets trying to, drop it low and pick it up slow. Like, what's happening? Is your mama dropping to get her eagle on? I need, like, what does that look like now? How has your relationship with your mom evolved now that you are older? Like, what does that look like?
Interesting. Hmm. Yeah, definitely involved nonetheless. I think about it, and me and my mom grew up together a lot. So, at first when I was little and my mom wanted to go party, she was young. So then I didn't understand that. Like, why, who gave you permission to leave me at my grandma's house for the night, huh? Like, first of all, like, and so it's funny because I would always tell my mom, okay, fine, I'll let you go, mom. Go have fun. But pick me up. I don't want to spend the night here at grandma's. And then she was like, but it's going to be late. You're going to be, no, mom, pick me up. I want to sleep with you. It doesn't matter what time, okay? So you have to promise me or you can go. Me thinking that I really had that power. And then she's like, okay, fine, I'll come get you, but you better be awake because if you're asleep, like, I'm leaving. I'm not going to wake you up and take you out in the cold. I was like, okay, fair. It's Texas, but okay, mom. Yeah, it's going to be really cold, but okay. And then so I remember I would stay awake, like, oh my God, my grandma would fall asleep. And I was like, and I would be like fighting my sleep. And I'd be like, no, 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 I got to stay awake. I'm going to be left. I got to stay awake or I'm going to be left. And then the next thing you know, and I would fall asleep. So then the next morning she would pick me up and I was like, what happened? And she's like, were you awake? And I was like, I mean, I try to stay awake, mom, but I did fall asleep. Well, that's exactly why you fell asleep. So what did I tell you? That if you fall asleep. So I gave myself up because now I know that she never was meant to pick me up. It was just that I was going to fall asleep eventually. So, later on, my daughter gave me a similar story. She's like, but mom, you did that too. Mind your business. Like, that's not what I worked for.
So you said, let grandma be great. Let grandma be great.
Yeah. So it definitely has evolved. She is definitely my best friend most times. So certain things you don't want to tell your mom, but most times. Sometimes it's a little TMI. So it definitely evolves. But it was funny when you were mentioning that you're like your mom. I'm very much like my mother. Like, we love to dance. We like to laugh a lot. When we get nervous, we laugh. So like I remember like when I knew that I got in trouble, me and my brothers, we would start laughing. And then my mom would be like, if y'all keep laughing, I'm gonna come smack y'all. We couldn't stop laughing. And then sure enough, we would get in trouble. And then so the irony came later on in life when she was like, yeah, when I was young and I was about to get hit, I would start laughing because I was so nervous. And I was like, so you're trying to tell me that you didn't break the cycle? Really?
So you just kept it going, mama. You kept it going.
All right. So yeah, it's very interesting how it changes, but it stays the same. And then there's things that you go through, right? Me and my mom, like, it was like us two against the world for the longest. And then so right now we live a little bit further, and girl, the other day she was like, I haven't seen you in the last few days. I was like, mom, you live a little ways, you moved. We used to see each other every other day. So but definitely like making that space for mom, which is important. I try to go on Fridays when I don't record the podcast, but but yeah, it's just very interesting to keep having those moments with your parents and keep cutting up. I cut up with my mom all the time. I don't know when she's being serious or not sometimes, we be in the most serious places and she come up with some crazy stuff. It's like I got it from my mama, I guess. So very keep it fun, don't keep it so serious. Moms need that. I sometimes call her and I say the stupidest things just so that she can laugh a little bit.
Absolutely. Mamas are just human beings. That's it.
Amen. So I hope that you all have some Mother's Day plans. You got your mother something, even if it's a letter. I know that she would appreciate that. Sometimes if you're like me, you don't know what to give your mom because she has it all. She overbuys, but I did surprise her with a family photo session, and then so it was my family, my brother and his wife, and my nieces and my nephew, and then my other brother who doesn't have a family yet, but still he is the family, and then my mom. So she's always complaining about how she wants to have a picture with everyone in it. So I made sure that we made that happen. And then so I gifted her with the Mother's Day photo shoot. And then so the smile on her face and just seeing everybody together, I know that that made her heart happy. So that's going to be the printing out process of it is going to be part of my gift to her, along with some other goodies. But I always feel like I have to get creative with her. But, you know, I love it. You know, I like her face when she sees whatever it is that I give her. And so I'm very excited for the photos as well.
Absolutely. And you know you have to share those now. Now that you didn't put us on notice that y'all had a family photo shoot, we gonna be expecting to see them, friend.
Right. I know. I mean, we'll see how they come out, guys. I'm just kidding. No, I definitely will be. But yeah, no, I'm definitely make sure you celebrate your moms. I mean, it doesn't just have to be on Mother's Day, obviously, but you know, do something special for them. I know that I try to see her and take her out to eat every so often, but like on Mother's Day, I really try to make sure that, I mean, it's kind of hard when you're a mother yourself, but you know, I just throw myself in there. I'm like, okay, we ain't cooking tonight. All the men have to serve us, and that works for us.
Absolutely. And how it should be.
How it should be all the time, but you know, we just okay, not all the time. Not all the time.
That is not my ministry, so I was just gonna sit quietly. But but as we wrap this episode of Unmuted with Z and Ross the Boss, to all the moms, just happy Mother's Day. Today and every day, you are appreciated, you are loved, from the moms who are in the Most High. Thank you for loving, because we know that your love is beyond this world. And it even though it you're not here physically, we know that you just couldn't leave and not continue to look out over your baby. So thank you for loving us beyond life. And for all of those folks who have stepped in to fill those voids, thank you for being the people that those folks needed, you know, at the time that they needed them. So happy Mother's Day, happy Mother's Day, happy Mother's Day.
I agree. Happy Mother's Day. Enjoy your time. Take the picture. 100% take the picture, the video, the everything. Feliz Dia de las Madres. I hope that you know you have a wonderful day full of love. That's all that matters. It's not about the fancy thing. I mean, hey, if you get splurged on, great. But I think it's also about the intention, right? So I know that a letter goes a long way. So hopefully we aspire to write when it doesn't have to be that long. You know, it could just be a little poem or something. You know, I just think that that's something that mothers appreciate a lot, and it's not every day that we get to share everything they mean to us. It's not like we're gonna do it on a phone call every single day, right? So definitely make sure you show some love to your mommy.
Absolutely.
All right, folks. So, family, friends, we do have another ask besides splurging on your mom. We would like for you to keep showing us some love and keep adding us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and all of our socials. And for the comments, thank you. For the follows, thank you. For the times you shared, thank you. And for all the support. So we just please keep doing that, keep spreading the word. We appreciate everyone of you, and we hope you have an amazing Mother's Day. If you want to drop by the comments and say, like Ross the Boss mentioned, she's gonna be sharing something that she has for her mom as an inspiration. If you want to add anything else for your mom on there, feel free to do that. Our socials are open space for all of you. We're family, so feel free to do all the things.
Absolutely.
And with that, we just want to tell you to make sure you have fun, but always stay unmuted. Bye.
Period. Bye.
Don't forget to like, share, follow, and subscribe. And always staying unmuted.